Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the South Sudanese Women Intellectuals Forum and to our special edition today, a conversation with Esther Simbi. My name is Dora Poniloro. I'm a social worker and a moderator of South Sudanese Women Intellectuals Forum. I'm so honored today to be having a very important conversation with Esther Simbi. Esther is a former South Sudanese refugee who migrated to Australia in July of 2005 after spending 19 years in 3 different refugee camps in Uganda. Esther is a single mother of 2 beautiful daughters. She's the founder and managing director of Zion Disability Services Incorporated, a polio survivor, a social worker. She's a mediator, an award-winning author, a motivational speaker, a disability advocate, and events manager and coordinator. Esther is also a member of the Campbell Town Rotary Club and the first African woman from a refugee background to ever run for parliament in Australia, representing people with disability in the upper house. What a resume, Esther. We are so honored to have you with us today. Um, Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. We have invited you because you are such an inspiration, not only for us, the South Sudanese women, but also for many women out there, and especially women living with disabilities. You have written 2 books, Beyond Calamity, a South Sudanese refugee story, my journey from disability and disaster to possibility and empowerment. And the second book that you have written is Blessed, raising 2 daughters as a single mom with a disability. Would you kindly, Esther, tell us about your 2 books and what was the motivation behind you writing them?
Thank you, Dora. Wow, what a introduction. I was like, who is that? Is that me? Thank you very much for that introduction. And yeah, my name is Esther Simbi. And so I published 2 books. My first book is Beyond Calamity. And this book was published in 2019. And my second book is Blessed. This one was published in 2020. So, what motivated me into writing my books? I'm writing about living with a disability and parenting with disability and living well with disability. So, the reason why I decided to write the books is to share my story and to also encourage other people. Because when I was growing up in the South Sudanese community, in the culture where people with a disability are believed to be possessed by evil spirit. I was bullied when I was young at school and in the neighborhood, and people used to make fun of me because of the way my legs look, because of how I walked. And so, yeah, people used to say that nothing good will ever come out of me. And so I decided to change the narrative, challenge those beliefs, those cultural beliefs. And even coming to Australia, I realized that because Australia is a multicultural country, I realized that there are cross cultural beliefs and practices among many cultures where people with a disability are believed to, like, the people think that when you have a disability, you're nothing, that nothing good will ever come out of you. But for me, I am a living proof that even when you have a disability, you can still live a successful life. All it takes is determination against all odds. I went to school. I was raised by my mom. I didn't have a dad growing up. And then I stayed with my sister for a few years. And so, yeah, it was a difficult beginning, but from all that, I had a goal in front of me. And from a young age, I decided that. And also, when I was growing up, I realized that a lot of the Sudanese women were talking through men, like they were not included in any decision making. And especially girls and women with disability were hidden away from the family. And so I decided that I'm not going to grow up like that. I'm not going to live like that. And I said, when I have children, I don't want my children, when I have girls, I don't want my daughters to live like that, to speak through somebody. Like, I want my children to have a voice and to use their own voice and for their voice to be heard. So that's why I decided to write the books, to share my story, that here I am, I went through all those difficulties, but here I am, and I'm living a successful life, and I am living well with disability. Um, I have scoliosis in my back, like my back is not straight. And when I was young, before I had children, people were saying that I will not be able to carry pregnancy to full term. I will not be able to have children because of my scoliosis. But I had children. Now I have my beautiful two daughters, and I just wanted to share my story. That was the motivation behind the books. I wanted to share my story, even though I spent so many years in refugee camps. And I was fortunate enough to go to school through a Catholic priest from Italy. And so I grabbed the opportunity and I made good use of it. And from nowhere to somewhere, from nothing to where I am today. And I just want to encourage people. When I came to Australia, I worked with the government, child protection, and also with the disability department. And so, from working with those two government departments, I realized that a lot of people are struggling with daily issues. And some of the issues, to me personally, um, things that I see them as small issues, but to other people, that's the end of the world. And some people want to end their lives. They want to end it all because of something, to me, like I said, something small happens in their life and that's it. So the reason why I write these books is so that when people read the books, they can see that she went through all that in her life and she's still here smiling, she's still here strong, and to encourage people. If my books can stop somebody from committing suicide, that gives me joy. Um, a couple, um, someone contacted me and told me that he and his wife were going through um, difficult time. They were almost separating, but after they read my first book, he was like, "Oh my goodness, what am I doing? I have this beautiful woman here that God has blessed me with. Why am I doing this?" From reading my book, that marriage was restored, that relationship was restored, and they are still living together since 2019. They are still living together happy. And yeah, so I'm glad that my books, there's results um, for other people in the community, and the good results make me happy.
Wow, what an inspiration you are, indeed, Esther. And as you have stated, it's like a disability is not an inability. And you
Mm.
have actually used the opportunities that have been placed before you. You have met them, you availed them now for others also. And you also show beyond, the stigmas in the society, the taboos on disability, how we perceive people with disability, how children, even families who give birth to children with special needs, how they are discriminated against. So these are also things that have to do with our culture of how we grow up and how we perceive, people with disabilities. And I really like how you are giving now voice to the voiceless, and it has become your passion, as you said, this couple that you have saved their marriage, and also many others who see hope in your story, that believing that, age is just a number, as you've said in your book, and refugee is just a label. So you have beaten all the odds and become the woman that you are today, encouraging and inspiring many more others. How do your daughters, you have two beautiful daughters, yeah, in all of this, how has that in a way impacted their lives? You sharing your story, being a voice to the voiceless, and you being the advocate, a social worker, and advocate, human rights advocate, all these embodied in you. How do you manage that, being a single mother and navigating, juggling all these balls?
Yeah. um, it's hard. Like being a mother, being a parent is hard, but being a single mother with disability, it's really hard. Um, Before the rollout of the National Disability Insurance Scheme in Australia, um, off air earlier, I was talking to you about the National Disability Insurance Scheme in Australia. Before that, we had a state disability program, Disability SA, that I worked with. I was a client of Disability SA, and I also worked with the Disability SA. So when I was with Disability SA, they provided me with the 4 hours of in-home support for someone to come to my house and help with the cleaning and with doing grocery shopping. And so the government will pay them for doing that for me. And but that's only 4 hours a week. And of course, the rest of the hours, I was by myself with my little children, and difficult to walk, but I was able to raise my babies. When I take them out of bed, I put them in a pram and push them out of the bedroom to the bathroom. And when they were still a baby, push them to the sitting area and bring a bath, small portable bath. And I go get a bucket and bring small water, pour in the bath, and wash them there. And then after I finish washing them, dress them up and put them back in the pram. That's how I was able to like carry them around in the house. Of course, I can't carry them and walk because I fall, and I didn't want to injure them. So, and now I had to drag the water from um, the sitting area to the bathroom. And yeah, so it was hard, and doing all of that, and of course doing housework, cooking, washing, and all of that. I did all that by myself. But in 2018, the National Disability Insurance Scheme rolled out, and so I transitioned from Disability SA to the NDIS, and that helped me. Now I have at least a few more hours during the day, during the week, to help. A support worker comes to my house to help with any task that I need help with, and that now gives me time to go out to the community and do my motivational speaking and public speaking. Before then, it was hard. Like I could only go out during the day when my kids were at school and daycare. Now they both go to school, and but now I have that support where I can go with my children to community event with the support worker, and the support worker will support me there with the children while I do my speaking, and also sometimes sell books. And yeah, so it's been hard, but yeah, I'm here today, and my kids, we are a normal family. Like my kids, like are like like normal children. So they do kids things, things that children do. My older one is now 12 years old, and she's almost getting into that teenage age, and she's doing the normal things that teenagers do. And yeah, sometimes, like some days, it clicks in their minds. Oh my goodness, my mom is all this, and but sometimes mom is mom, no more. Yeah, and that's our life in the house.
Yeah. Oh, so blessed they are to have you as a mom. You know, it's such an yeah. I believe they're so empowered girls growing up, and I was just wondering along the way, sharing your story and impacting people's life in so many different ways. What challenges have you met along the way, and what opportunities or what doors of opportunities have opened up for you as you shared your story?
Yeah. So the challenges that I have met along the way, especially publishing my first book, it was hard to publish my first book. Um, After I finished writing my first draft of the manuscript, I searched a publisher here in Australia. The first one that popped up on my search, I contacted them, and they were interested straight away. They responded, and they said that they were interested in publishing my story, in editing and publishing the story. And I'm like, okay, great. So I completed the draft and sent it off to them. And the editor that worked on the draft came back to me, and she said that my writing was more of academic writing than novel writing, and she told me to rewrite the book from scratch, which I did. I rewrote it from scratch, and when I sent back, she still sent the book back, the draft back, and then three times that happened, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And the editor made a comment that I will not be able to publish a novel. She told me if I'm really that serious about writing, I should perhaps write academic books, or I should go and study writing. I should join a writing club and learn the writing skills and all of that. And I'm like, I'm not sure what is going on. So I just put the manuscript away. I didn't look at it for 4 years. And so after that, I started rewriting again, and I sent it back to the same publisher because I'd already paid them money. And so this time there was a new editor, and the editor got back to me, and she said that my manuscript was already well written, and she didn't know what the problem was at the beginning that made the manuscript to be rejected. So we went from there, and it took 8 years for my first book to be published. So after my first book was published, writing the second one was easy. Getting the second one published was easy. I went with the same publisher because they already know me, and I already know what they were looking for. And so when I sent them an email and said, I have a second book, and they said, yeah, send a manuscript to help publish it. So I sent it, and that was done. And so other challenges, like any other woman that came to Australia as a refugee, whether a woman with disability or a woman without disability, the loss of the family support network. So you find that women come here in Sudan, in Uganda, where I grew up. If you are a working class woman, you don't have to worry about who is going to look after your children and your neighbors, your relatives. You can get up in the morning and go to work, but here it's different, and you find that there is no family support network, and sometimes it becomes hard for people to go to study, or go to look for work, and that impact on people's mental health, you know. And you find that you come to this country from a refugee camp where you spent so many years in the refugee camp, and you're here with 3 or 5 children with no family support, and it becomes a challenge, you know. And the other thing is also language barrier. For me personally, um, I am blessed because I came to Australia when I was already knew how to speak in English, how to write in English, and how to read in English. So for me, English was not a problem. The only issue, the difficulty that I faced initially in the first few, the 2 years that I was in Australia, was the accent. So it was hard, like, to understand what they were saying. But I taught myself, from listening to the radio, from watching TV. Slowly by slowly, I started to understand the accent. And as I speak now, I don't even know what accent. Is it Ugandan accent? Is it Sudanese accent or Australian accent? I don't know. It's all muddled up, but yeah. So that was the difficulty. The other thing is social isolation. Um, so women find themselves socially isolated. For those who came with their husbands, and for those who got married here, because as culture demands, men go out to study, and they go to work, and the woman is left alone in the house with babies, with young children, and with no connections. And also, the other thing is that is culturally challenging that women had to adapt to is, for those women who were trained to be housewives back in South Sudan and in Uganda, you come to this country, now you have to go to school, start learning English, and go to the university, study, or go to college and obtain a qualification to look for a job. And yeah, so all of those things are new things that women are dealing with. There are a lot of challenges. And in terms of the disability, um, like I said, even here in Australia, there are still families from cold backgrounds, culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds, who hide away children with a disability, who hide away people with a disability, especially women, are not included in any decision making. And the cultural beliefs that I spoke about, there is also stigma and shame. All of that, all of those hiding people away, and those stereotypes and those negativity, that when you have a disability, you will amount to nothing, is all because of stigma and shame. And you find that there is no encouragement. Instead, there is discouragement. Like, as a woman with disability, you want to do this, and then you get a discouragement from family or from people around you, that you cannot do this, you cannot do this, you can't do this. There's no encouragement, and those were the challenges that I experienced. And yeah, settling in a new country is a challenge in itself until you find your feet. For me, it took about 2 years or 2.5 years, and I got settled. But for some people, it takes even 10 years. They never really settled. And because they are not settling for that long time, it affects their mental health. So yeah, those are some of the challenges. And the other thing is also Because in South Sudan and in Uganda, women were used to walking long distances to fetch water, to fetch firewood. And so coming to this country, um, where there is no more long walks, um, you walk to the bus stop if you're not driving and catch a bus to the city or catch a bus to wherever you want to go, to the hospital and all of that, and catch the bus back. There's no long walks. And also because all the food labeling, they are all written in English. And for those who don't read English, in English, they buy food that is cheaper, that is of very poor quality, and you find that within a few years, women are gaining a lot of weight because of a lot of other things adding on to that, and people are suffering from joint pains, knee pain, and all of that, and those are challenges that people are experiencing, and all that they need is education, really community education, so that people are aware of what is uh, out there, how to keep themselves healthy and fit, and what kind of food to eat and all that kind of thing. So those are the challenges of a new country.
Yeah. Well, those were, yeah, many challenges, and I believe you're already doing a lot of work on that. And in regards to your advocacy in the South Sudanese community, how has it
Mm,
been received, and especially working with either women with disabilities or families that have children with disabilities? How is your work impacting within the community? And you mentioned already the stigma, the shame, the taboo
mm,
that are attached to disability.
mm.
Mm.
Yeah, it has not been easy. Like, um, initially, it felt like I was hitting my head on a brick wall and nobody was listening. And so, even when I ran for parliament, I was less than 10 years in Australia when I ran for parliament. And there were a few people from the Sudanese community and South Sudanese community who supported me, and others were really happy. Yeah, we have our own who is doing this. But others were like, are you crazy? Why are you talking about disability and this and that? Like, people like to sweep those issues under the carpet. And so slowly by slowly, people are now starting to understand. I, of course, never give up. So I keep pushing, I keep delivering the same message over and over again. And slowly by slowly, people are starting to have open conversations in the community. We are not there yet. There is still a lot of work to do, and we need to continue doing that to have those open conversations. So, what I was doing was raising disability awareness, really talking about disability wherever I go. And now I find that I'm getting invited to community events a lot, uh, probably not in the South Sudanese community as such, but in other communities, I'm getting invited to speak. And last year, especially, I traveled to other states, and all travel expenses, accommodation, and food were paid for. And twice I went to other states with my children with a support worker, and all those expenses were paid. And those are the opportunities that writing my book and no hiding away, no sitting inside, putting myself out there brought for me these opportunities. And last year, I appeared before the Disability Royal Commission here in Australia twice to give evidence about the challenges and abuse, domestic violence, difficulties that people with disability from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds are experiencing. And if I had stayed in the house, if I had not written my books, I I don't know if I would have been given those opportunities to go and appear before the Royal Commission and present myself and be there as a voice to other people representing, like carrying so many communities, not only the South Sudanese community, but carrying so many communities on my back, uh, those communities that speak English as their second language. And yeah, so writing my books and speaking up, advocating for others, speaking for others has opened up many opportunities for me. And like I'm in the process of organizing an International Women's fundraising dinner to celebrate women with disability. That is on Friday next week. And I think from doing the work behind the scene, in the background, not giving up, I am receiving registrations to the event. And even some of the people that were still not sure whether we should talk about disability openly and all of that, people have registered and they are coming to attend the event next week, which really gives me joy, which tells me that something is working, because I did not give up. And we should continue doing that. Wherever we are, we should raise disability awareness in the community. There is still a lot of lack of understanding. People don't know what is happening. There are a lot of people in the community who don't actually understand that they live with a disability. And through awareness, they will get to understand that, oh, okay, like running workshops, that's what I do. Run workshops, provide information about disability, define what disability is and what are the types of disability. Because like in the South Sudanese community and other cultures, when you talk about disability, they think that disability is only physical, but there are other types of disability. And like I said, in Australia, we have the National Disability Insurance Scheme. Those people could be eligible for the National Disability Insurance Scheme to get support from there. But because they don't know that they live with disability, because they don't have physical disability, they don't know. And of course, they are not applying for the NDIS. And that's why I'm starting the organization Zion Disability Services Incorporated to provide community education about the National Disability Insurance Scheme, what it is, how to apply, how to navigate the system, and also to raise disability awareness in the community, and also to address those issues of stigma and shame so that people can have open conversations about disability. There's no shame in talking about disability. There's no shame in living with a disability. Like I said earlier, for me, I am a living proof that even when you have a disability, you can still live a successful life. Gone are the days where people hide people with a disability away. We should.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as you say, it's not all disabilities are visible, you know. So it's really important to raise awareness on the different types of disabilities. Absolutely. And you're really doing an amazing work. I'm just wondering, is your organization doing some work in Uganda, in South Sudan, in regards to the same topic of disability, helping people raising awareness there, or is it in the long-term plan? I believe.
Yeah, not yet. We are just starting up. We don't have funding, and that's why I'm doing the fundraising events to hopefully get some donations to be able to fund our projects. So one of the projects that we have at the moment is the Community Connections and Engagement Project, which covers so many things inside, mostly community education on so many areas. Um, and so because we are just starting, the plan is to have branches in other states in Australia, and yeah, hopefully South Sudan one day in Uganda, and maybe in other countries as well. We'll see. But we are just starting now. And as we speak, I'm receiving emails from other states here in Australia asking, do you have this service in this state? Do you have this service in Melbourne or in Sydney, in Brisbane, in Western Australia? And I'm like, oh my goodness, we are just starting now and we don't even have funding. And yeah, so there is demand for it. And yeah, I'm glad to know that. Yeah, there is demand for it. You know, when you're starting something, it's hard. Sometimes you have doubts, and I was having those doubts. What am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? Is this thing going to prosper? Is it going to help people? What is it going to look like? But I'm not giving up, and I'm not going to give up. So I will continue, and yeah, hopefully the future looks great. And
Yeah, absolutely. Now, after many people listening to you, listening to your story and the great work that you're doing, I believe people will be able to support you. The event you're having next Friday, is it going to be digital as well? Can we follow from wherever we are? Or is it going to be local and not streamed? Because it would be really nice to follow.
yes, I will talk to, there is somebody who is coming to record live. So I will talk to him and see if we can broadcast live so that people from other countries can also follow. But if
Yeah.
not, the videos, the recordings, I will share those ones, and you can also get to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
And if people want to get your books, where can they get them from? Amazon? Are they
So
out on Amazon or?
yeah, Amazon. My books are on Amazon, and if you're in Australia, they are on Booktopia. You can just Google "Blessed" by Esther Simbi, and it will take you directly to where you can purchase them. Right, Beyond Calamity by Esther Simbi, and it will take you to where you can purchase them from. You can even call me. Like I said, if you're in Australia, call me and I will get some copies to you. Unfortunately, I've not been able to get copies to Uganda and South Sudan. People have been asking me, bring those books to South Sudan, bring those books to Uganda. I've not been able to send them there yet, but soon we will get some copies to Uganda and South Sudan.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you.
Wow.
We know that there are conventions or regulating the rights of people, of persons with disabilities. And
Hmm.
recently, our president has acceded four international conventions into laws.
Hmm.
And one of them is the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and the optional protocol. And the purpose of the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities is to promote, protect, and ensure the full and equal enjoyment of all human rights and fundamental freedom by all persons with disabilities, and to promote and respect for their inherent dignity. The optional protocol establishes an individual complaints mechanism for disabled people who allege that their rights under the convention have been denied. We are, I believe it's really good that our president has acceded this convention into laws. But what do you think about that, Esther? And how do you see uh, this convention being implemented in a very practical way in South Sudan? Oh,
It's really great that the president has, the minister has done that. And like I said earlier, we need community education, ongoing community education, and inclusion, disability inclusion. People need to start talking about disability inclusion um, in the community, in the homes, in the workplace. It's hard, like even here in Australia, it's hard for people with disability to get a job. Me personally, I applied for so many jobs. When I was not working, I applied for so many jobs. And all the time they get back to me and said, you came second, you came second. I knew I did really well at the interview. And I knew that I passed the interview, but they kept telling me that I came second, I came second. And one particular interview that I did in 2019, I did the interview, and then the last question they asked me, the leader of the panel asked me and said, how are you going to manage working full time as a single mom with a disability? And I said, before I applied for the job, I have already put a plan in place on how I'm going to do this. And this is not going to be the first job that I have done. I have worked while I was pregnant with my poor mobility. I worked until I was 7 months pregnant with both my pregnancies. Driving was hard, but I was driving to work, and I can do that. Now I'm not pregnant, I can do that. And so the lady told me that they are not prepared to employ someone with disability who is prone to taking time off sick leave because of their disability and because of having young children who are prone to having uh, illnesses. And so that's pure discrimination. We need to practice disability inclusion, eradicate discrimination and abuse. I know that many cultures don't know what domestic violence is. There is no proper, even in South Sudan, there is no proper definition of domestic violence and abuse. So we need to look out for those things. We need to protect the rights of people with a disability. We need to encourage people with a disability to use their voice, to use their talent. I know that people with a disability have different amazing talents. They need to be encouraged to use those talents. And when people with disability are included in the community, when they're included in the society, they will get jobs, they will contribute to society. They will not sit on the street and beg for money, for food. They will contribute to society. They will get their salary and also pay taxes. So we need to practice now, preach disability inclusion, embrace equity, and also community education. We need to continue that disability awareness raising, and we need to continue to having open conversations in the community. By doing that, we will remove the stigma and shame, and we will remove discrimination, and we will encourage participation and community engagement.
Absolutely. Those were the great recommendation. And I believe everything, any change starts with awareness. If we are aware of the problems, the barriers,
Mhm,
then we'll be able
mhm,
to find ways and
mhm,
solutions to the problems that we are facing. And especially in our communities, we need to, as you said, community education. We have to include people with disabilities and look at them as humans with equal rights. And now
mhm,
that we have the Convention on the Persons Living with Disabilities put into laws, I hope, and I really hope that it will make some change. But of course, we need to be aware first of
mhm.
the
Yeah.
barriers. Mm.
Yeah, people also need to make changes in the education system to make sure that people with disability are included in the education system. People are not bullied, and uh, to make sure that people with disability, if they need that support, like extra support to get their homework done, to get their exams done, to get their assignments done, they should be given that opportunity so that they can also pass their exams and walk out with the qualifications. And yeah, also I'm not sure about what the government of South Sudan is doing, but like here in Australia, the government of Australia is funding disability programs in the community. So that could be something, if South Sudan is not doing that already, that could be something that they could do, fund some community disability programs in the community to raise disability awareness and to educate people and to also educate educators, if you know what I mean, train the trainer, you know.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for the recommendations. We are in March, and March is Women's Month. So, what is your message to our South Sudanese women living with disabilities or women everywhere? And what is your message, especially to the Ministry of Gender, Child and Social Service? The Minister of Gender, Child and Social Service is an active member of our forum. She's very supportive of what we are doing. So if you have a very special message to her or to all the women of South Sudan, especially women living with disabilities, what would it be?
So to the minister, every child is unique. Let's forget about that culture where it says only boys go to school and men get the office job and women stay in the kitchen. Let us encourage the girl child to go to school. Let's encourage girl child education so that everybody can get educated. I know that when you educate women, there is peace. Women are powerful in their own ways, and when you educate women, there is peace in the community, there is peace in the country. So let us educate women. Let's encourage girl child education, and also to women with disability. Don't look down on yourself. Just know that disability is not inability. Find your talent. I know that each and every one of us have our own unique talents. Find what that talent is, whether it's singing, whatever it is, do it and participate in the community. Show your talent, showcase your talent to the community, to society, and everywhere. Don't look down on yourself, even if you face discouragements. For me, along the way, I did cause conflict in my family because my family looked at me in the cultural point of view where, because I'm the youngest in the family and also because I have disability, so therefore decisions have to be made for me. But one day I decided that I was going to make my own decisions, that I was not going to allow anybody or any situation or anything put me down. I decided to look beyond disability and started making my own decisions. And when I started making my own decisions, that caused conflict in my family. They regarded me as being disrespectful of the culture, that I was supposed to listen to my elders and all of that. But against all odds, I just did my own things. I looked beyond disability. I say that disability is a giant, but it's a giant that should not put me down. In December last year, on the 23rd of December, I had a fall in the house and I landed on my already bad knee. And then on the 4th of January, within a period of 10 days, I had another fall and landed on the same knee. And even as we talk now, I am still in pain. Do you know what I did the following day? I was sitting on my bed with my laptop and I was designing flyer for the event that is happening on Friday next week. I didn't like sit in the corner and start crying and say, why are all these things happening to me? And I just, look beyond the pain, look beyond disability, and did what I can. And that's the message that I want to leave people with, women with disability with in South Sudan and all over the world, that look beyond the difficulty that you're facing, look beyond that giant in your life, and do what you can with the talent, the gift that God has given you. And together we will make a difference in the community. No more crying in the corner, no more saying, poor me, no more looking down on yourself. Even if people look down on you, you prove them wrong. Tell them that this is not me. This is the society. This is what people are doing. They put people with disability in boxes, but step out of that box and live outside of the box. Don't stay in that box. If you try, you fall, don't stay there. Get up and keep going. If I can do it, all of you women out there can do it. Whether you have a disability or not, you can still do it. Find your voice and use your voice. Thank you.
Oh, wow, you are such an amazing, phenomenal woman, Esther. Thank you so much. So, how can people reach out to you if they want to send you a message, to share their own stories? Where can we find you?
So on Facebook, Esther Simbi author, you will find me straight away. Uh, Also on Instagram, Esther Simbi author, you will find me there. If you want to send me an email, you can send me an email to Esther Simbi author at gmail.com. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Do you have a podcast, or you are such a motivational speaker? You know that. So I think it would be really great to be listening to you sometimes. Do you have a podcast, or have you considered having one?
I'm working on it.
Okay. So that
Yeah.
would be for the next time. Yeah.
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 Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Esther. Thank you so much for taking your time. It's midnight there, or going to it's morning. You haven't slept for a long time. Thank you so much for sacrificing this hour for us. And it's really been inspirational listening to your story. And I'm sure, yeah, we will get back to you again, and we would really love to follow the event that's coming up next Friday.
Yeah.
A happy
Thank you.
Women's Day to you,
Yeah.
and all the best in this amazing work that you're doing for the community, for women with disability, and for Australia as a whole, and even for South Sudan. So thank you so much. And thank you, our audience, for watching. Thank you, Aisha, for the support backstage. So I wish you all a blessed weekend and happy Women's Day when the 8th of March to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, and happy Women's Day, International Women's Day to you too.
Yeah, thank you.